Hi, welcome to Hunting Illinois podcast. With us today is the whole group. So we got Dan, Lauren, Curtis, and myself, Jason. Welcome. So we're getting here towards the end of deer season. I think it's the last weekend this weekend, and then we're going to be talking about what can you do after deer season. So there's still fun to be had, even when it's cold out. We're going to be talking about what else is open and what else you can still get out doing if you're already got cabin fever with the winter. And we'll be talking a little bit about what we've been doing lately. We've been doing a lot of mentored hunts, a lot of squirrel hunts, and things like that. And to get us started, though, Dan has our outdoor updates. So go ahead, Dan.
So just a couple updates. Obviously, like Jason said, we're kind of getting towards the end of what most people can consider our hunting season. So not a ton of news or updates out there, but just a couple things we want people to be aware of and to remember. So first, we'll start off talking a little bit about the IDNR windshield cards. So if you've ever hunted a public IDNR site that requires a windshield card, you're probably pretty familiar with this process. But if not, if you have had to go in and print a windshield card for a hunting site, you need to go back into the system and report what days you hunted, report your harvest, and you have until February 15th to get that done, or 2 weeks after that last hunting season. So, like squirrel ends February 15th, you have 2 weeks after that to submit your windshield card. But I recommend just trying to get it done as quick as possible because you will lose access if you try to go back into the system next year. If you don't report anything, it'll actually block you from being able to print a windshield card for that next season. So, make sure you get that in. Again, February 15th. We'll put a link down in the show notes below or in the YouTube, depending where you're listening to this podcast, with links to that windshield card and then a quick video about that process. But it's fairly straightforward. But yeah, just remember to get that in by February 15th.
Yep. And we have a
That's
video
even
on
if you weren't successful. Even if you weren't successful, you still have to report
Even
it.
if you didn't
yeah,
go, even if you didn't
you
hunt,
can
but
even
you just
go, just
printed off
print it
that
out.
windshield card, go back into the
You got
system
to
and
do it.
report zero. Absolutely. Yep.
Yep. And I have a video on how to do that, right? That's one of the videos we have on how to.
Correct. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll link that below. It's a pretty easy process, but just one of those things that if you keep putting off, you're eventually going to forget, and then oh crap. So just get
Yep.
that in by February 15th or 2 weeks after that last hunting date for those species that close later. All right, up next, let's talk turkey a little bit. Obviously, spring is still, it feels like it's a long way away, but hey, the days are starting to get longer. So we're definitely on that side of things. We're starting to think about spring turkey hunting a little bit. The second lottery closed. We're recording this on January 13th, so it closed yesterday on January 12th. That lottery is closed, but we do have a third lottery. So that third lottery will open on January 23rd and conclude February 9th. So if you still want to submit an application, you can still submit through that third lottery. What I recommend at this stage of the game, and this is kind of a personal opinion, before you submit that application, view on Illinois DNR's website. They have a spreadsheet that they post. And if it comes out in time for the release of this episode, we'll link it down below, but chances are it won't be out for a couple more days. But it will show you how many permits are remaining in each county. So I highly recommend looking at that before you submit that third lottery application, just so you can, put the odds in your best favor. So definitely check that out. But again, January 23rd through February 9th is that third spring turkey lottery. After that, any remaining county level permits will go on sale March 10th over the counter. So you still have a couple options there as well if you are unsuccessful in drawing through the lottery. One other quick news I want to just kind of quickly mention, not necessarily hunting related, but we all like wildlife, we all like conservation. So Illinois DNR put out a press release a couple days ago highlighting their eagle watching events that they have scheduled at various Illinois state parks. And this is really the best time to see bald eagles in Illinois during the winter, where they're out seeking open water for fishing. And DNR hosts what they call Eagle Watch Days or Eagle Days at various sites across the state, where they'll have biologists who come out and talk about the eagles, who talk about what they're doing, their feeding. But again, you get to see some really cool feeding behavior from eagles that not a lot of people will get the chance to watch. So if you're interested, we'll put a link down to the press release below, which has all the different locations, the dates, all the information you could need. But definitely worth looking into. A lot of fun. I went a few years ago and had a blast. And if you're into photography, if you're into just wildlife watching, get ready. You're going to see a lot of eagles for sure.
That's cool. I remember being a little kid in Pennsylvania. We'd always go to a place called Hawk Mountain. in eastern Pennsylvania, and it's literally called Hawk Mountain. Like that's not like a little kid nickname for it.
Yeah.
But you do like I don't know, like a 2 mile walk to the summit of a visitor center, and then they'd have a park ranger up there, and it was when the hawks were coming through, and
Yeah, I think
these
that would be what the accipiter migration probably. I remember seeing videos of that back in college, and you just see like hundreds of Cooper's Hawks and Sharpies. All that was cool.
Yep. So as a kid, if you got kids, I'm sure they would love to do that as well. So that was really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
no
again,
one
just
prepared
another
me.
great activity if you're looking to get out later this winter, explore some wildlife, learn a few things. Definitely check those out. They're a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And
Hmm.
again,
No one prepared me for the amount of eagles and pelicans I'd see in Illinois. Like I was not
Right?
prepared. Like I see a lot of both. I mean, it's great, but I was not prepared coming out here. I was
it's
like, oh,
such a good conservation success story. I mean, just hawks and eagles, like we're just. I remember as a kid,
oh
it
yeah, I
was
see
like
hawks
if I
everywhere.
saw a
Driving down the
red-tailed hawk,
road.
I was telling every. And now it's like I drive to my hunting location and I'll see 10 on the drive
Hmm.
Or
there.
even
Like
just
it's.
driving down the interstate. Just they like to
Yep.
hang out on those road signs or the fence posts and just watch.
Yep.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely check those out. But again, that's about all the updates and news I've got. Again, kind of a quiet time of year, but definitely still a lot of fun to be had outside.
Hmm. Fantastic. Cool. So what have you all been getting up to recently? I know Lauren went out with a trapper yesterday. What were you doing yesterday, Lauren?
So I was going out. We're gonna have some. We'll have some. I have some footage, so we'll have that up eventually. We haven't quite processed that yet, but we're gonna show you guys how to make snares for water for trapping beaver. I actually got to make some, so that was really cool to see. And we also checked some of his traps with him. So he got his fifth otter. So you can get five in Illinois. So he got his fifth one, and we pulled traps, and I got to go along with him and kind of see how he does some of his nuisance work too. So that was really cool. It's nice to just get outside. I also saw an owl just hanging out, so that was great. I'll have Jason put the picture up. I got a really good picture, so that just made me happy. That's like
Cool.
people are a lot of times are like, "Why do you like hunting and trapping?" Because you pay attention, you get to see cool stuff. Like
Hmm.
it's like the best thing about it, really. So we did that. I feel like mostly I've just been outside being cold, honestly. It's like what I feel like I've been doing the last few weeks. I had a goose hunt before the holidays that was extremely cold. The geese didn't show up. Like it was, I mean, it was fine, it was fun, but it was very cold. The geese didn't show up. Um, and we've had a couple mentored squirrel hunts that were okay, but the second one, the one we had most recently was pretty chilly too.
Hmm. Cool.
Do you guys want to talk about that at all?
Sure. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we had two squirrel hunts. Curtis was with us. We all went on the first one. Curtis missed out the last one, but Curtis was the his group was the most successful the first time. We all went out. I think we all had opportunities with hunting, and but I think Curtis's group had the most opportunities. So Curtis, you want to talk about your experience when you guys went out?
Yeah, well, we're at the time of year where basically we can call it the squirrel rut. So squirrels, they'll breed two different times per year, and right about we get into early January, they start to think in that way. You see a lot of squirrels chasing each other. Activity is at a high for basically a couple different reasons. For one, we've got this squirrel breeding activity happening, so a lot of squirrels are wanting to be social. Some squirrels are wanting to be territorial and say, "Hey, push other, males out." But also, we've got the resources out there. We're at an all-time low. We're at the low for Illinois resources available for animals right now. So the population density that once was okay is now a little bit stressed potentially as food is low. So we got all kinds of fighting, all kinds of chasing for all kinds of reasons. It's a very interesting time to be in the squirrel woods. So those of you that have been deer hunting all year, and I know some people think squirrel hunting's just for kids. We hear this all the time. Squirrel hunting's just for kids, and like, okay, sure, squirrel hunting is great for kids, but do adults not like lots of shot opportunities? Do adults not like that? I don't know. I do, personally. And personally, I'm a big fan of squirrel as a food. I like deer, but if you give me the choice, like deer steaks or young gray squirrel pan fried, That's I'm taking the gray squirrel, 99% of the time, to be honest. So a lot of different reasons to squirrel hunt, and this is an exciting time to be in the woods. Lauren talked about the owls. You never know what you're going to see. I was just squirrel hunting a couple days ago and saw a barred owl. I didn't get a good picture like she did, but I got the mental image, which is also pretty nice. And yeah, squirrels have been moving around a lot, but on that particular day, they were all on the ground. We barely saw a tree, or we barely saw a squirrel up in the tree. So almost everybody was in the grounds, and we had a little bit of a wind going that day. So we had to walk around until we found basically a little area that, via the topography, gave a little bit of leeward side, basically, so that we were out of the wind. And you would notice it walking around, right? We'd be walking, wind would be hitting us, we wouldn't see any squirrels. We'd walk a little bit further up over a hillside, and it would get calm, and oh, there's a squirrel, there's a squirrel. So we kind of targeted those areas. We tried to find areas we were out of the wind, and then we split up, the three of us, and we had pretty good activity. It was a good day. It wasn't crazy. We weren't beating them off with sticks, as they say, but everybody had shot opportunities. And yeah, I think we wound up getting 4 squirrels, so we had enough that we could process them as a group and divvy them up to those that really wanted to try squirrels. They got some squirrels to go home with, so it was a good day. We had good weather, other than the little breeze, which, for those of you that don't know, like, that is the biggest weather thing you want to avoid when looking for late season squirrel hunts, is the wind. And it's for obvious reasons. These little guys, their main escape is trees, and their main mode of travel is going to be tree to tree to tree, branch to branch to branch. So if you look outside and all the trees and branches are blowing and swaying, guess what? That's not very good for a little squirrel trying to run across those. So on the windy days, if they've got enough food cached, if they've got a fat belly, they're just going to lay low and they're not going to move at all. So try to pick your still days, especially if we get a warm day when it's been chilly, and then you get a nice still warm day. Oh, all them squirrels are going to be out. Good time to be out there.
Yeah, and what was really cool about that specific hunt, I think that was what, December 20th or something, that weekend right before the Christmas break. We had quite a bit of snow still on the ground, and so I think Jason and I definitely, we can flash some videos and pictures up, but it gave us such a level of scouting that historically for squirrel hunting I never really pay attention to. But we were able, one of the fire breaks that we walked down, and again, we probably didn't see a ton of squirrels on it because the wind was definitely hitting it hard. But you could tell the past couple days they were in there digging up their caches, and so you could see we probably found 15 or 20 different spots where you could tell a squirrel had been digging through the snow, digging through the dirt. And as we went down and kind of dug a little bit, you could see old hickory nuts, you could see a bunch
Hmm.
of acorns. So that
And
was
we found
really
nuts
cool,
on
just seeing
top,
that
like
that
chewed
level
on
of
top.
sign that we've never really been able to see before. Because again, if there's not snow on the ground, it's very hard to see. Oh yeah, here's a little disturbance in the leaves. But when the snow's off, they were just popping out left, right, and center. So it was pretty cool to see that kind of stuff that day for sure.
Yeah, it was nice because we found like chewed nuts like on top of the snow, so you could tell
Hmm.
it was pretty recent. And even for us, so my group, we our best spot, like where we were almost on a shot, and then a dog ran by. So I was like, all right, done. Like we are done at this spot because there was a guy out hunting with his dog. So I was like, all right, like everybody, like we're moving, like we're out of here. It's squirrel hunting is a lot easier when you have a dog. But beyond that, I mean, we were able to see turkey tracks, we were able to see possum tracks and raccoon, like we were able to see all sorts of stuff. So it was really cool to, just go out and see things. It's
Hmm.
nice to you beat those winter blues a little bit when you're outside doing things and moving around and you're a little cold, but
Yeah, getting
helps when you
out
see
in
the
the
little
woods
tracks.
when we got good snow like that, oh man, that is like Fisher Price, my first scouting. I mean, anybody can scout, not just squirrels like you're talking about, but
You want
oh
to see
man,
how many deer beds I marked on that specific
Oh
oh
squirrel?
yeah.
yeah. I was
I
gonna
probably
Turkey
marked
say
3 dozen.
the amount of
I
turkey
did
tracks I
more.
saw. I'm
I
going
did.
turkey hunting in that spot this spring. You better believe I was making notes about where I saw those tracks.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and yeah, when we saw, I've never saw so many caching spots. I mean, it looked like, and it was so plain as day on the snow. It was like divot holes in a golf course. I mean, it was just, you can just look across the snow and see these little brown patches here, there, and everywhere that you can see them digging up their nuts, which was nuts. Anyway,
Hey,
but
Cool.
Anyway, it was crazy. But
The
so
snow
yeah.
we had the other day was not nearly as good. It was like
Mhm.
it was not good snow for that. It was just snow that was kind of annoying and the leaves were really crunchy underneath, so it wasn't nearly as fun to look through.
Yeah, it was more patchy. It was still helpful, but still patchy and just enough crunch to kind of ruin your stalking. But yeah, we went out this past weekend, and I was the only one able to get a squirrel. Luckily, we were able to show new folks that had come this time how to field dress a squirrel then. And but yeah, we had similar to what Curtis was describing. We were walking down. We walked out of the car. We walked. This is an idea of our tactic, but we got out of the car. Dan had two fellas with him, and I had one guy with me. We walked straight into the woods, and then we are heading for like a fire break. And then Dan and those guys went south, and me and Derek went north. So then we were walking, and almost as soon as we broke up, I saw on the trail in front of us three squirrels chasing each other, and I'm like, all right, well, if they're chasing each other, they're not going to be paying attention to us. So we got up on them pretty quick. They climbed a tree really fast. I was hoping to get a shot at those with Derek. We weren't able to. And then we looked over, and I saw what I thought was one. It was still. I'm like, I think that's like it was like sitting there like a gopher with its like belly
Oh, just
showing. Yeah, and
yeah.
I'm just like,
I
and was
have a
that.
question. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how they look. Like they're like waiting to ask you a question.
and it was right at the base of a tree, and I'm like, I think that's one sitting right there. And then all of a sudden, it took off running. I'm like, oh, that is one. And then we moved up on that, and then we followed him into the woods, and then it went from one tree to another tree, and I was able to shoot it in open ground. So we got our one. One of the cool things, Derek was all about just asking general questions about hunting and biology and squirrels and everything in between. And as we were walking around, we got to see a really nice looking, a really healthy coyote that eventually ran in front of. It was in a open field. It was when we came up to an open field, and there was like that little patches of grass and things that animals can just disappear into. And all of a sudden, uh, I was like, oh, there's a coyote. And then it came out, walked in front of us, and then it stood up on a log and it was in the snow and it looked like a calendar photo. It was insane. And then it looked right at us and then went off into the woods, and we kicked it up one more time through as we were walking through the woods there. But so he was excited just to see that because I think he lives up near the city, kind
Me.
of in the same area of where Lauren's at now. But so he was very excited to see that and stuff like that. So he had a fantastic disposition for late season squirrel hunting, and just happy to be out there and happy to learn more and go over just random questions that I wouldn't even thought of. And I was like, yeah, okay, we can talk about this now. Okay, cool. So it
He
was
asks good questions, like
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, he asks interesting questions.
which
I like
makes it
chatting
fun.
with him.
Yeah, the time was passing real fast. So it was good. So I had a great time. It's always fun getting out and just seeing how excited people are. And just to give, if you're a hunter and you just want to give a little, I know it's hard to take new people out, especially people you might not know. But if there's anyone in your family that you're willing to take out, just the energy that they have is infectious, and it's really fun to see the woods through new people's eyes and to go through that process. I love it every time. And every time that like I'm just like we're dreading waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go out walk around in the snow, and you're worried about the wind and everything else. But then as soon as you get there, it doesn't matter if you get anything or not, because the people you're out, it's a life-changing experience for them. And they're gonna find a new hobby. I mean, those guys stayed back out there. The group that Dan had, you can talk a little bit about what they
Mhm.
end up doing, Dan.
Yeah, so like you said, we kind of hit that main fire break and then went south, and we didn't see many squirrels right off the gun like you did. So it probably took us another hour until we finally started getting on squirrels. And the pattern I started going for, because the area that we were specifically at didn't have a ton of topography that you could utilize to protect us from the wind. And it was supposed to get pretty windy that day. I think they were calling for, steady winds 15 to 20 and gusts in 30. So we very much hung on the leeward side of pine. There's quite a big pine stands in those areas. So we would find those and kind of use those as our wind protected. And once we found some of those areas, we started to see a little bit more squirrel activity. We probably saw, I don't know, seven or eight. The vast majority of them you see off in the distance and didn't really have a plan at. But we did have one that was pretty close to us, gave us a really good opportunity. One of our hunters was able to get a shot at it. I'm pretty sure he hit it. It was kind of running up a limb, and as he shot, you could see the rear end of the thing start to fall off the tree. But he just wasn't quick enough to be able to get a second shot off before it looked like it ducked down into one of those cavities. And that was the really interesting thing about this specific site is the amount of squirrel sign, whether it's the caching, the feeding, the amount of drays. There are drays
There's
everywhere.
so
And if you're not
many.
familiar with
There's
that word, we're
everywhere.
talking squirrel nests. But what I found is there's so many drays, but there's even more cavities. It's like every single one of those big red oaks that are really abundant on this specific site are just full of cavities. And so I'm not surprised that there's that level of squirrel activity at this site just because the habitat is so conducive. But again, so we got that one shot off. We had a couple other opportunities that we just couldn't seal the deal. Again, the crunchy snow really hurt us there. But my two guys ended up staying out a little bit after. So after we kind of showed them how to process that kind of thing, they're like, "Hey, I'm just going to go out and hunt this afternoon too." And I heard from them that evening that they were able to get back into some squirrels and were able to put a few in the freezer. So that's always cool. So they definitely learned a lot and were able to figure it out on their own, just with a few short hours of walking through the woods. And these are guys who have hunted a little bit but never squirrel hunted, and so it was brand new for them. But they picked it up rather quick and were able to have quite a bit of success. It sounds like so.
And
A
this
lot of fun.
happened at the end of our last one too. I think, did Derek stay around last time
He did.
afterwards?
Yep. Yep.
Yep,
And how
Derek
So
did he
got
do
one.
yep.
too? Yep.
Yep, Derek got
So
one last time, and he's really interesting because that's the two times he's gone squirrel hunting with us are the two times he's ever hunted before, and he was telling me that his 14-year-old daughter now is taking hunter safety, so he's going to be taking his daughter out here soon. So
Awesome.
again, it's just going to be it's just so important to get new people out, show them how get the confidence in them to go and try something, and just to get an idea how it works. Just taking someone for a walk with a shotgun to go squirrel hunting is literally life changing. And now they're gonna
Yep.
all the memories that him and his dog are gonna make from now on are because we could help him a little bit. I mean, he might have figured it out by himself, but again, it's just nice to provide that service for folks.
And if you're sitting back and wondering, okay, how do I get involved with some of these mentored hunts? How can I want to take that personal next step? The best recommendation we can give to folks who are interested in coming on a mentored hunt with us is to attend hunt camp. I'm actually happen to be wearing the shirt today, so nice shameless plug there. But obviously, we haven't really solidified any dates or anything like that. It's usually the end of September. That last weekend in September is kind of what we shoot for, and we use it as this big kind of kickoff to get into hunting season. But that is where we do give away the vast majority of our mentored hunts, whether it's hunts that we are personally putting on as Learn to Hunt, or a lot of partner organizations. We had some groups donate hunts last year. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there, but that is by far the best way is to get involved with our annual event, Illinois Hunt Camp, as we kind of use that as our big pitch to give off hunts. And one thing we did last year that we're going to continue doing is, obviously this event is September 28th, or give or take. That's kind of when it was last year, again, that last weekend in September. Well, if you think about it, that kind of throws out a lot of early September hunting opportunities. And so last year, we made the cognizant effort, hey, we're just going to put a bunch of these. Obviously, it's 11 months away or so, but we're still going to put on. So we have a lot of dove hunts in September. We have a lot of teal hunts. We have some early Canada goose hunts. Got a lot of different stuff. So it's not just all kind of this late season hunting. So, but again, if you're interested in looking to get involved and go on one of our mentored hunts, definitely check out Hunt Camp once we start posting that information. But you'll see that information all over our social media. We'll talk about it ad nauseum on the podcast, so
yeah, you'll
you'll
know once
definitely
we get a
stay
date, you'll
privy of
know.
that. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, and in
But
terms
yeah,
of
one
getting
other
people
hunt I
out,
had just to kind of talk about, it was actually the day or two after Christmas. Went out with a female. Her name's Kelly. She actually happens to be one of our Learn to Hunt ambassadors. So you've probably met her a time or two if you've been to hunt camp or some of our other events. But she won a late season hunt with me. So we went out to Kickapoo for deer. And she actually drew, in addition to the hunt with me, she drew one of the special Kickapoo hunts that they've put on now. Their mentored hunting program where essentially people get to hunt areas that are typically uh, closed off to the general public for hunting because it's campgrounds, it's around facilities, things like that. But so she went out a couple days on Christmas and the day after with another mentor, as I had some family stuff, so I wasn't able to make it. And they saw some really good activity those first couple days, which if you think back to what the weather was doing, you're probably going to be able to follow along right where this story is heading. Really good weather those first couple days, and then think about that 26th, 27th, 28th, and it got hot, it got windy. There was one morning we went out there, I think it was the 27th or 28th, and we only lasted until probably 8:30 just because it was literally 65 degrees and the whole blind was, I mean, it was moving. It was way too windy and conducive for anything. So unfortunately, we didn't even see a deer when I was with her, but she at least got some good activity prior to that when the weather was a little bit more conducive. But we did hear a lot of geese flying around. We saw a couple flocks of specks, so that was kind of neat seeing them move through. But yeah, that was a little uneventful hunt, but again, that's the way hunting is. It's not like going to the grocery store. Some days they're a little bit tougher than others.
Hmm.
Yeah, and in terms of getting new people out, one of the guys I had in my group for our squirrel hunt, Mark, has come to some of our stuff, and he also won a mentored deer hunt with us back in September, and he's been amazing at getting other people out. He was telling me, he sent Jason a bunch of pictures of him out with other people, but
Hmm.
he was telling me he's a firearms instructor, but he's told me he's ended up teaching sort of an impromptu crossbow class to a bunch of people, a bunch of friends of friends who just like, he showed up and ended up having to show all these guys how to use a crossbow and like how to do all this. So, if you're interested, you can definitely, sometimes once you're passionate about it, people you didn't necessarily think were going to be interested in it start to become more like, okay, tell me more. So you can get your family and friends into it as well. He's still working on his wife though, I will say. He's been working on her as long as I've known him. He's trying to get her into it. But
That's
I had
really
him.
funny.
Yeah,
The,
yeah,
the, the
he's like,
first
I'm trying.
Sorry, the first time I met him was at our Sitka event up in the Chicagoland area there, and he was talking about how it was date night and his wife let him go out and then to meet us for before they went out, and he's like, yeah, she's upset because I always drag her into all my hobbies, and I'm just like, oh really? And then so this was like back in September, October. So the fact that he's now talking to you about trying to get his wife into it, I guess she knows him because that's exactly what she said was going to happen. So
Oh,
this is really
he
funny.
came to a pheasant hunt we did, and he was asking my husband and I. He's like, "Can I get a picture of you two together to show my wife that you guys hunt together?" Like he's so sweet, but it was just so funny because because his wife's like, you could just buy some meat and spend more time with me, and I'm like, or you could get her out of here with you, and he's like, I'm trying. Like
Yep.
she doesn't want to be cold, and I'm like, we got to do more early season stuff before it gets cold. So.
Hmm. Yeah, I
But
think.
but he was one of the guys in my group, so he's super sweet. And then I had Dieter, which I think it was his first time squirrel hunting, and then Shannon, who's been out with us squirrel hunting as well. Shannon and Dieter both had shots, so they were both pretty excited to at least have an opportunity. Our biggest struggle though is a lot of the underbrush where we were is super thick, so we'd see squirrels, but by the time we were able to like get to them, we just the shot was not there.
Mm,
And because it was so cold with being able to sit and wait, it was just you'd start to freeze. So we did a little bit of that. That's how Shannon and Dieter kind of ended up with both their shots. They were able to kind of figure out where they were and then kind of, wait them out a little bit. And I'm a big fan of using my ears, especially, when they're in their squirrel rut to find squirrels. Like I like to be able to hear. I feel like I use my ears almost as much as my eyes, to hear them start, yelling at each other and just chewing on things
yeah,
and making
scurrying or
noises.
whatever.
Yeah, just listening for them going across the leaves and stuff.
Hmm.
Especially in the morning. We didn't have many birds out, so there wasn't a lot of noise
No.
besides the wind. But I mean I know Shannon's hooked, but I think Dieter especially because with his miss, he was like, I want to do that again. Like he was very excited. So he's like, I want to do this again. Like I want to get back into it. So he was pretty excited. So it's always fun to have people that leave like really amped up and are kind of like, all right, like I want to win, like I want to
Hmm.
get this, like I'm got that adrenaline going and now I want to, be able to do it. So,
And one thing I think we hear from new hunters a lot is people get very. We see squirrels a lot, right? These are very different than the public land squirrels that we're talking about. So, some of these people might be like, man, there's squirrels in my yard all the time. I can walk right up to them and catch them in a sack, probably. And yeah, maybe you can. I would not advise that. Squirrels can bite incredibly hard. So, do not do that. But anyway, these squirrels in public land, like we're all talking about, when they see you, boom, they're gone. You know,
Especially this late in the year.
yeah, they've
yeah.
all been hunted, not just by humans, but they're being hunted by coyotes and bobcats and all kinds of things. It's real trouble out in the woods when you're fuzzy and delicious and small, and that's what squirrels are. And so it really is. I call it the mini Western hunt because a lot of people try to apply for these Western hunts that now you need a bazillion points to go get. And because that type of hunting appeals to a lot of us, where you just have big portion of ground and you can go and you can use your binoculars and find an animal and try to put a stalk on that animal. Like that is fun, right? Well, squirrel hunting is that just in a mini way. On our public ground, you can walk around any place that's open hunting, if you spot a squirrel, try to get a stalk on. And like Lauren said, with the brush and crunchy snow, it can be super hard. And you might do it all day and never get a shot at a squirrel. Like you have to really put a sneak on them to get in there and get a shot at these squirrels. But when you do it successfully, it's fun. And this is something that we can do with no points at all. You just get hunter certified, get your hunting credentials, and you can go out there and do it. And it's a blast. And then, hey, you get some good food that people turn up their nose. They're like, oh, it's squirrel, a tree rat. Well, maybe so, but it's not in the sewers. It's in the trees, and it's eating acorns and hickory nuts, and they're dang delicious. Give them a try.
Well, and again, it's not your backyard squirrel either. It's not eating, like again, it's eating trees, like nuts and stuff. It's not eating weird random stuff. It's not eating your siding, like
Yeah.
it's yeah,
Um,
I always warn people. I'm like, public land squirrel hunting is humbling. Like you will, especially on a big chunk of land, like they can be in a lot of spots, and if they've got hollow trees or all those drays, like good luck to you. Early season's hard because there's a lot of brush and a lot of, leaf cover and mosquitoes, and it's hot. And late season's hard because they're extremely wary. So
I got a question for Curtis. I know that Derek had, and I told him like Curtis would know because he's eaten probably I don't even know how many more squirrels you've eaten more than me, probably 100 or two. But yeah, he asked if you can tell the difference between squirrels. I told him that you always say young of year gray, and then any gray over probably a fox. And then he was wondering if just in general, if he was asking like to the season, depending on what their food resource is, depending on what they're eating, given that their food changes through the season, can do they taste different throughout the year, and depending on what they're eating at the time? And I just didn't know if their meat flavor would change that quickly. And I'm like, probably not. I think it's more about an age thing. But do you notice any difference in squirrels on what they're, since we're talking about squirrels eating stuff, do you see that impact the flavor of squirrels at all?
I feel like people will say this to a certain extent, and it's only that magical time of the year, which is potentially like late August, early September, when squirrels are almost exclusively eating hickory nuts.
Hmm.
Um, and I've heard of that as being a good thing. I occasionally you'll hear it as saying maybe a bad thing, but hickory nuts are related to pecans. They're like a delicious nut out there, and I don't know if I could tell the difference because remember, a lot of these squirrels are also caching food, so they're eating foods today that maybe they cached. And is it as good now as it was a couple months ago? Maybe not, but is it enough for me to tell a difference? I probably wouldn't be able to, but I guess I have heard that people do prize squirrels at that magical hickory nut time, just because maybe they're a little bit more hickory nut flavored. I don't know. But I would say, yeah, you are correct. My favorite squirrels to go after is young gray squirrels. And to tell you the truth, fox squirrels might be just as good. It might be my own, just because a couple of the fox squirrels that I got were really old, tough fox squirrels. And so now that's what I associate all fox squirrels as. Which maybe is unfair, but yeah, I honestly don't shoot many fox squirrels. If squirrels are out, I target only gray squirrels, and if I can, yeah, I try to get the young ones, not the big old one that's a crock pot squirrel, but those young ones you can cook just like you do chicken at home, and man, are they good.
Hmm.
They're good.
Cool. Yeah, the only one of the clearest ones I've ever seen was like the blueberry bears. I've seen that on hunting shows before, where they cut open a bear that eats blueberries, and you can almost see it in the meat, the meat coloration. They can tell it's
Yeah,
almost
and
a
you can
blueberry.
definitely tell it in some of the Western deer. Like if you have a mule deer steak versus a mule deer that's been eating a lot of sage versus a Midwestern whitetail, you'll definitely get a flavor difference. Same with antelope, you can definitely get that hint of sage. So I'm sure it
Mm.
carries over a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like in squirrels you get that with fox squirrels to gray squirrels because in my opinion, gray squirrels are a forest species and fox squirrels are an edge species. So fox squirrels are eating a little different diet that includes more agricultural stuff as Lauren is savagely getting attacked by a puppy. I mean, that just looks
sorry.
horrible. looks like help is needed over there in the worst way. But that might be some of the reason why I like gray squirrels. You know, they're more eating the mast, whereas fox squirrels might be eating more of the grain. And I don't know, maybe that has
Yeah.
something to do with it.
I think we got to do a video of a blind taste test of one of these guys.
Let's
See.
do it. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I always wanted one thing that I always wanted to do when I was in Wisconsin and really around all the fur bears. I think it would be fun to try to ID all the fur bears by smell. I don't know if I could do it anymore, but I would love to try. Like that would be fun.
It
I
would
don't know
be.
who has the power to get that competition started, but hey, I'll sign up.
Uh, Probably at the what's it?
BMPs.
Yeah, the BMPs. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yep. The
I
BMP
Fuck
mean, it
Brian
study.
sounds like
White.
a good thing to add to the fur takers rendezvous, if you ask me. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have to ask who do we got to talk to get that added.
So any other activities you guys been up to? If not, we'll talk about what we can end up doing here in the future to close out the winter months here before
I
Yeah,
turkey
lost my
well,
takes off.
one
mind and got a
that
dog.
ties.
Oh, what was
Yeah,
that, Lauren?
Oh,
go
I
with the
lost my
dog.
mind and got a bird dog.
Yeah, right. He looks like it's doing well.
He's being a little bit crazy, but he is starting to kick up a fuss in the. So I didn't want him to be annoying while we were filming.
That's
So
fine.
now he's just being a weirdo. So
What's
he
his
matches
name?
my hair.
What's his name, Lauren?
His name's Riot. My
Riot.
husband wouldn't let me name him Blue, even though he's red. So we went with Riot. The hound loves him. So
Awesome. And then Curtis, what were you saying there, bud?
Oh yeah, well, tying into that, Jason, another thing. So we talked about squirrel hunting as being one thing people can do now that we're in the dog days of winter, as it is deer season coming to a close. Another thing is trapping, and we
Hmm.
do actually have a in-person trapping workshop coming up this weekend. Now, of course, depending on when you listen to this, this may be in the past, so sorry for that. But right now, it's in the future. We're going to be up there at Moraine Hills doing a trapping workshop on the 17th, and beaver trapping continues on. So we can continue to do our water trapping for a little bit for beaver and otter. And this is a great excuse to get out there in the winter and keep doing stuff outside and seeing these owls and doing all this fun. Not to mention just the deer scouting. You know,
turkey scouting too.
I
Hmm.
feel like I did probably more scouting walking around squirrel hunting with the snow on in 2.5, 3 hours than I did in two visits, totaling like probably 6 to 8 hours last summer. You know what I'm saying? Just because all the foliage, you can't see half the trails, man. I marked twice as many trails in that short amount of time, and also you can see all the rubs. All the foliage is off. You just look through there, see all the rubs, see the big ones that you missed.
You
Yeah.
can even still see evidence of scrapes, which was a little mind blowing to me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because some of them, I mean, I'm sure we're still getting tended pretty
Hmm.
good, especially when that second rut would have been going. And my dad, who uses a lot of fake scent, he's got a lot of deer still tearing up scrapes where he's hunting, you know, because he's got the fake scent out there that makes him think that other deer are going crazy. So any excuse to get you out in the woods, out in the outdoors is a good one. And hey, beaver trapping. It's a lot of good stuff in beaver trapping. No, the beaver hide is not worth as much as it maybe was back in 2012, but it is still in demand. Or if you want to make something yourself, who cares what somebody else is going to pay you for it? It's still some great fur. This is the time of year when it's prime. And by the way, fur is just one of only 3 to 4 awesome things you get from beaver. Also, a lot of people will tell you the meat is just as good, if not better, than deer. And you can get beaver 40, 50 pounds. So a couple beaver is going to be as much meat almost as a deer. So you can add up a good amount of red meat quick, you know, just a little aquatic cow, really tasty. We made beaver sticks here a couple years ago, and people were eating them up like crazy. Said it was the best sticks they'd ever tried, and we're like, it's beaver, and
Yeah, we actually went back to the same event the next year without beaver, and people were upset that we didn't have it.
Yeah,
They were looking
They
forward
ran
to
us
it.
out with pitchforks. Yeah, we were not
Yeah.
allowed back to come back
yeah.
ever.
If
But
you're an
anyway,
environmental group and want to get your name out there, get some weird meat to give to people to remember you.
but it's got to be good.
Weird,
It's got to be
weird. I know.
good.
Yeah, but it has to be good. Yeah, traditional meat.
So you get all the meat, and on top of that, beaver caster is high this year so far. So you save the beaver caster glands, and you can sell those. Those are you can sell them commercially and
And
make
what do they
pretty
use
hard
that for?
cash.
Can you discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, all kinds of different things. I mean, a lot of it is used for actually trapping lures and stuff, but some of it is actually used in really high grade additives for smells and food. So, not a lot of it is added into food anymore. There's a couple like niche alcohols in like Finland that add it, but other than that, they use it for smells. Like new car smell is a lot of time derived from beaver castoreum, and sometimes on the label they'll just kind of hide that under natural flavorings because hey, it is natural, but beaver's certainly natural. But for some reason, people don't want to think that they're sniffing real hard a beaver's backside when they're taking a big whiff out of that candle. I don't understand it, but anyway, you can sell that stuff. You can also keep the oil sacs, which are right by the castor glands, and those you can't particularly sell. But if you trap predators, those have a incredible amount of appeal for coyotes, foxes, bobcats. So people will save those and use those as trap and lure, or trade them to a lure manufacturer for something else. But and that's not even mentioning one of the most cool skulls in the whole animal kingdom that we got right here in Illinois, the beaver skull. You know, it's our largest rodent. Got those huge orange buck teeth there, which are a great teaching aid. You get to talk to people and tell them how beavers are rodents. So these teeth, they grow for their entire life, and they self-sharpen for life. And that orange on the front is actually because there's a bit of iron content. So Fe, iron, that's what makes them orange in the front of the tooth that is absent in the back, which makes the back wear faster than the front, making them self-sharpening forever, which is pretty cool. And you can talk about it just from that big old skull sitting on your mantle. So a lot of good reasons to trap beaver,
You didn't
more
even
than
talk
I
about the
even mentioned.
tail. You didn't even talk
Yeah,
about the
and the
tail.
tail. Ice fishermen go crazy for the tail. I mean, you can also make leather goods out of the tail too, but one of the big things is ice fishermen cut little strips of that fatty tail and make lures out of them that are somewhere between artificial and live bait, but they look like live worms. And because it's beaver fat, it releases a bunch of oils into the water and just makes the fish go crazy like Jaws. I mean, they should be outlawed probably, but right now they're not. So get your beaver tails while they're hot, and you can go ice fishing and just tear up the fish. If you got ice that's safe enough to get out there, be safe with it.
Yeah.
I know we don't.
No, no.
No,
I've been
not right now.
seriously interested in ice fishing to the point about 3 years ago, I bought myself an auger. I bought all the equipment. I have yet to have a winter in Illinois that's good enough to even drop a single line in the ice. So,
Everybody
no,
keeps asking me, and I'm like, not since I've been here. Like,
nope.
I'm like,
Adam
should we
was
come?
out. It was probably it would have been 21. I think it was the winter of 21. Adam was out on our HOA pond here, and he was nailing the crappie out of there. So now that I know you got an auger, Dan, I'll be letting you know if it gets
Hmm.
cold enough here between now and February.
I like it. It's not no fancy auger. It's a manual one, but it'll drill a hole. That's all we
Yep.
needed to do. And I actually bought it for multiple. Obviously, ice fishing was kind of, but I was like, man, I can kind of use this to start breaking some ice too,
Hmm.
out for a duck hole.
So we have that workshop. The trapping workshop is this weekend, but then we also have a trapping webinar for water sets. That's going to be January 27th. It's going to be Tuesday, probably 6 o'clock, guys. I imagine.
Yep.
Yep.
I
Yep,
So
think
it's,
6 o'clock on that one. And of course, we've got other trapping webinars that are available on our YouTube right now if that's
yeah.
something that's of interest of you. But we will have that live one on the 27th because yeah, if you're looking for something else to keep you out in the wildlands a little bit longer, beaver trapping is a great way to do it. Because one of the things that we shouldn't gloss over is that some landowners are going to view it as a service, you coming and taking those critters off
Hmm.
there. And this happened to me in Wisconsin. I honestly posted on Craigslist saying, "Hey, I'm in a new area. I'm a trapper. If anybody's got any nuisance beaver, muskrat, anything like that, give me a call." And somebody called me up, and so you can get permission on new properties potentially through beaver trapping. Not saying to post on Craigslist. It's a different world than
Yeah,
it
don't do
was
that now.
probably 5 to 10 years ago. I don't know if it would still work, but maybe Facebook, maybe something like that. But anyway, these landowners view if these beaver are clogging their culverts, if they're flooding their roads, they are going to basically despise these beaver. And if you will come over and trap them for free during the trapping season, you might just become their new next favorite person. And who knows what that'll lead to? Small game hunting permission, deer hunting
It's that's
permission.
how exactly how I got my best waterfowl hunting permission in Kentucky back during my collegiate days was beaver trapping for a few farmers who they would dam up their levees and flood everything. They're like, hey, you get to come hunt this now.
And I mean, I
Hmm.
will say public land sites too. The site supers a lot of times have problems as well with beavers flooding out, waterfowl habitat or messing up, like their different levees and stuff. So a lot of times they are happy to have trappers come in as well. So my tip is sometimes if a site says like doesn't say anything about allowing trapping, call and ask because sometimes they're looking for it and are willing to work with you to allow it to become a thing at that site if that's something you're interested in because they have to deal with them as well. So
For sure, there's definitely some opportunity out there. And as far as local groups, the Illinois Trappers Association as well as Fur Takers of America are both very active in Illinois and are both great groups to get involved with. And they're both great with sharing their knowledge and everything. It's not like some outdoor activities where people are very guarded with their secrets. Trappers, for whatever reason, are very, very open, and they love to share their knowledge with new people. And they're some of the best at that, I think, out of all the outdoors people. So,
And
and if
we've
you're
said
a
this time and time again on this podcast, but I just want to reiterate it since we're talking trapping so heavily right now. Trappers are by far, I think, the best naturalists and the best biologists out there. And so if you just want to better your skills and better your understanding of the natural world and the natural community, there's not a better person to talk to than trappers. Again, with deer hunting, I may be trying to get a deer to walk within 40 yards of my spot. A trapper, they're trying to get an animal to step in a hole that big. And so having this very fundamental understanding of animal behavior and ecology and how they interact with the landscape, there are not better naturalists and biologists out there than trappers. And so definitely take advantage and like Curtis said, check out some of these groups because again, they're a wealth of knowledge. I mean, an absolute wealth of knowledge, and you'll learn things you've never even thought were possible before. So I just want to
and
give a
if you
huge
like
shout out to
puzzles,
trappers. They are some of the smartest people out there.
and I think of it too as being kind of like a puzzle or like a challenge too, like the whole thing from like where you set things and how you set it and kind of refining things. Like it's a lot of fun. And I will say, if you're a lady interested in it, we'd be amiss if we didn't do a shout out for Illinois Bow. They have a trapping camp that's open
Yeah.
right now. It opened January 14th. It will be their dates are March 21st and 22nd. So it costs $60 for registration, but there are scholarships available. So it should be a really good time. You leave with your Illinois Trapper Ed. So it's a good time, hands on, lots of good learning. We love Bo. So
Hmm. Yeah, and one last aspect of trapping that we really don't get into too much because it's not really the recreational part. But if you get into the recreational section of it and you're really intrigued by it, I mean, there's also nuisance trapping. I mean, my dad's an exterminator. He makes his living basically off of spraying for ants and trapping groundhogs. But there's a thousand other animals that he has to deal with as well. But yeah, I mean, if you really get into it and you want to become a nuisance trapper, that's a good way to get started into that line of work. And if it's something that you're really interested in, then you can figure out ways to make money at it differently than just the fur and everything else too. You can also become a nuisance trapper too.
and the
well,
gentleman I trapped with yesterday, Dave, will have content with him coming up, but that's, I mean, that's what he does. That's how he, makes his money. He didn't always do it full time, but he does recreational trapping too as well. So there's a lot of those guys out there. So
Hmm.
it's definitely
Two
an option.
comments about that. One, don't downplay trapping groundhogs. Groundhogs are smart critters. They actually are some of the more tough animals out there to trap. I
And they're
remember when
tasty.
I was nuisance trapping, we actually had to paint all of our cage traps different colors because only brand new ones could be used on groundhogs. Once they would catch a raccoon or a possum or anything like that, they would be painted a different color and they would never be used for groundhogs because they would not go in them.
Hmm.
So groundhogs not easy to catch. So anyway, another thing I want to say is like a lot of you folks out there are like, oh, I don't even know where to begin when it comes to trapping beavers. Well, do you understand trapping mice? It really is the same principle. Yes, it's a lot bigger mousetrap, but it is just a bigger body gripping trap, and it is just the same principle. If you're trapping a mouse, you're probably going to go to a little nook and cranny on the side of your, on your wall, maybe behind a shelf or something where a mouse can just fit, and you're going to trap them there, and you're going to be successful. And guess what? The exact same thing can work with beaver in the water. You see their little trails under the water, especially if we do get ice. They'll be
It's so cool
have
with ice.
bubbles.
Yeah.
You'll see the bubble trails. All you got to do is put a trap down there in the water in their trail. And if it's a beaver that hasn't been trapped, hey, you come back and he's there. Now, I'm not going to say it's always easy because a beaver that has been around trapping before, a trap shy beaver, can be amongst the most difficult animals out there to trap. But if it's a new beaver, a lot of times it works just like trapping mice. So it's something anybody can do.
I will say too, if you're just getting started and you're looking at it all, it can definitely be overwhelming, especially when you do Trapper Ed. You're like, oh my God, this is so much. Once you get through Trapper Ed, I recommend just picking something to focus on, like beaver and muskrat, like whatever it is, just pick one and kind of start there because it can get overwhelming. There's a lot of types of traps, there's a lot of equipment, like it can get overwhelming very fast. So you don't have to do everything at once, just kind of start small, a little bit at a time and work your way up. Keep it
Everybody
manageable.
needs a pair of those beaver mitts that your buddy got, Jason. Those
Yeah.
things, his hands are never going to be cold again.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I got my mom a pair of like the sheared and plucked beaver like hand warmers to put in her pockets, and it's like the softest. I was like, I need a pair of these. Like, it's gonna be getting some for my boots, keeping my feet nice and toasty next time I'm out duck hunting.
I would like to get a beaver vest made. I mean, right now when fur prices are pretty low, this is a great time. Just get your fur tanned yourself and either send it to a furrier. There are a lot of good furriers still left. I don't know a ton in Illinois yet. If there are any, please reach out to us. We would like to know you. But I do know a couple in Wisconsin. Really, it's reasonable rates. You send your fur, they will send you back a garment that'll last your entire lifetime and it'll probably be warmer than every other garment you've got on your shelf, too. So I want a beaver vest. I think that'll be, I mean, I'd never get
I
cold.
like it.
Be good.
Jacob wants like almost like leg gauntlets, like you can slide up over your boots and have over the top of your
Mm-hmm.
boot and like below your knee and just kind of like, string on, and that's what he wants for when he's sitting doing deer hunting. He put that request in for next year.
Yeah, those are nice too. Yeah, my buddy Jim in Wisconsin, he won them, and I was thinking like, what are you gonna do with those? Because they only cover a little patch of your leg, but
Mhm.
apparently they really do warm you up just by that little patch. So,
Yeah, I have
hey,
no idea what they're called, but Jacob's like, I want you to make me a pair of those next year. And I was like, all right, like,
yeah, I don't know what they're called either. They're like
Are they
shin
similar to like a
guards.
gator?
yeah, kind of like a
Yeah,
gator.
Yeah.
just made out of fur. And you see them if you watch the old Mountain Man stuff, right? Because they'll be
Yep.
wearing
Yep.
buckskin pants and then they'll have like these fur gaiters. And I
Yeah.
just always thought, hey, well, that's fashionable, but I guess
It always looks cool. Yeah.
keeps them warm too. So it warms up your leg in that spot, and then I guess your whole leg warms up. I don't understand the physics behind it, but dang it, it works and it looks good too. So get yourself some beaver leg shin
Or
guards.
even raccoon would be great. Just something to help keep that layer of heat in.
That might be
Uh,
Something.
too warm.
just talking about seasons. So raccoon, possum, skunk, weasel, mink, muskrat, red fox, coyote, badger, and bobcat, if you got a tag for it, would be from November 10th to February 15th, and then beaver goes from November 10th to March 31st.
Yeah,
Same with
beaver's
river
longer.
otter. Yeah, river otter and beaver both go to March 31st. So if you're just getting an inkling to try this right now, there's still time in the season to try to get out after beaver. You can go through the whole training and everything else and still have time to try to get some sets in before the end of March.
And spring is a great time because just like we were talking about with these squirrel ruts, beavers start to get very territorial the more we get into spring, especially ice out, which I say that this year. I don't know if we'll have an ice out. But anyway, in spring, they still get territorial, so you can start trapping with what's called caster mounds, which is a very simple and effective set. You could almost walk on any travel corridor where beaver are going. Make a little, basically, chute or a little peninsula with your boot that looks like kind of a little bit of water coming up into the mud. Get enough space so you can get your 330 underwater there. I like to get them all the way underwater. We got to have them at least half underwater to be legal. I like to go further than that. Little dive stick over the top, and then you build a little mud pie up on the bank right above that and put some castor scent in that to simulate a castor mound. And then in any beaver swimming in that waterway, he's going to smell that castor and he's going to, oh, I'm not going to stand for this. He's going to go up there and want to throw mud all over that to get his castor scent over that mound because this is his section of river, not nobody else's. And if you got a trap there waiting for him, well, there you go. There's your beaver sticks and your fur beaver shin guards and your skull and your castor glands and your oil sacs and your tail for ice fishing right there. And we didn't even mention the feet. Lauren and I know a lady who takes the feet and freeze dries them and makes like novelty back scratchers and key
Hmm.
rings out of them and sells them. So you can even sell the feet.
Yep, some people too feed them. Well, cut the nails down and feed them to their dogs. Whatever you want to do.
Beaver, 1,000 uses.
Yep.
1,000 uses.
And we'll have a video about how to do a water snare set for beaver as well, which is basically if you wanted to do like Curtis was saying the 330, you could basically you could do the same setup just without the snare and just put the 330. It's basically how he described it as well to help you visualize it. Um, how we set it up. So
Right
yeah,
on. Yeah, so we've got
Yeah.
squirrel hunting you could still be out doing, got a lot of trapping
rabbit's
and
still
other fur
open.
bear hunting you could do, and rabbit. So rabbit you have until February 15th.
Yep.
So that includes cottontail and swamp rabbit. Swamp rabbits are very much going to be in southern Illinois. You're not likely to see those if you're, anywhere in the central and northern part of the state, but still a lot of rabbit hunting opportunity. And one thing we've talked about it every time we talk about rabbit hunting. Obviously, it is a little bit of an easier process and a funner hunt if you're asking, in terms of just recreation with dogs. But it's something that certainly can be done without dogs. And if I'm hunting without dogs when I rabbit hunt, I very much am looking for a snow event. One, it makes seeing the rabbits 10 times easier, but also just being able to see their little tracks in the ground gives you a little more confidence in the brush pile that you happen to be kicking and that type of thing. But don't sleep on rabbits. That season is still open for about another month. So February 15th is the last day for that.
Just check your
A lot of
site
fun,
regs
a
to
lot of
make sure
fun.
it's not a site you need the free upland permit. It's hit or miss with some sites, but
Yep, and you got to have the orange for
yes,
Yep.
and the
rabbits. Don't
orange.
forget your orange. But hey, another delicious little critter, which is a lot different than squirrel, surprisingly. To me, rabbit is I mean, it's very much like chicken. It is a
Yes.
bland, white
I
meat.
prefer like squirrels 9 times out of 10. I'm stewing or doing something like that with rabbit. I'm usually frying them like quarters into, yeah, little, Buffalo Wild Wings type meals.
It's good in
Yeah.
chicken soup too.
If you get a
Fresh
young
chicken.
rabbit, you could do absolutely anything with that rabbit that you do with chicken, and most people are not even going to know the difference. Now, a lot of the rabbits we get are not quite as young as the chickens we get, so yeah, you might have to stew them or cook them a little bit longer to get that same tenderness. But yeah, rabbit. I mean, it almost beat the chicken as our number one source of white meat. Because in the old days, rabbits had a higher percentage of white meat per animal than chickens did, but then the double breasted chicken changed that, and chickens now reign supreme.
Rabbits are also easy to skin. If you can skin a squirrel, you can skin a rabbit. It's not hard. They peel off if you get to them quick.
The only thing I will say, just since we're talking about rabbits, I typically like to wear gloves when I process most game. I'm not always a stickler for that, but when it comes to rabbits, I'm extra cautious about food safety, and I'm pretty much always wearing latex gloves and things like that.
Hmm. And then another reminder, if you haven't said it yet, if you're going rabbit hunting or squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting, make sure you're wearing orange if you're going to be shooting at rabbits. So, squirrels, you don't need to wear that orange, but if you're going rabbit hunting, make sure you got your orange on. Next we got some waterfowl left over. You got it's basically goose season now. So the Canada geese is going to be in the North Zone ends January 15th, but then Central, South Central, and South all goes to January 31st. And then you have the light goose season, so the snow goose, the Ross goose, so all the white colored uh, geese that are out there. That's going to go to the regular light geese season is to January 15th in the north, January 31st in central, south central, and south. So to the 31st. But then we got the conservation ordered light goose season, which is what you might see in hunting shows and things like that. That goes from January 16th to April 30th in the north and in all zones basically. Well, okay, so in the north it goes January 16th to April 30th. In central, south central, and south, it starts February 1st to April 30th. And in that season is when you get to hunt without any limit on how many birds you can get. You can also take the plugs out of your gun and shoot and have as many shells in your shotgun as it can hold, and go from there. So that's when you see these large flocks of these snow geese coming through, and you're probably gonna be wanting to use an outfitter for that, just because I mean, you can definitely go and find them if they're hitting a field near you and you have the rights to go hunt that field, go for it. But a lot of the times you need so many decoys to make a believable spread with how large the flocks are that you end up using an outfitter because they need to have a storage locker to have to keep their decoys in storage when it's off season to do the outfitting that they do. So definitely check that out. It's a pretty affordable hunt. I think Dan and I did one. I forget how much we paid for it at this point. It's been a couple
Yeah,
of
I've
years.
done it a few years now, and I've done it through different outfitters. It's always somewhere between like 150 and 200 for a full day
Yeah.
hunt, which I
Yep.
mean, I can hardly leave my house these days without spending $100, it seems. So,
Literally just going, I mean, I take photos of our Walmart or our Schnucks runs to like, I'm like, this is what $100 get you. And it's like
yep,
literally not even a dinner. It's like just like
yeah,
a couple snacks and milk. Yeah. Great. So anyway,
so highly
so
recommend it. And
yeah.
the one caveat I will say, yes, you're 100% correct about decoy spreads. That gets very tough. But one thing I would recommend, and it's not very possible where we happen to live in the state, we don't get a ton of snow geese flying directly, over us or near us,
Hmm.
but it is, I think, out of all the species that we can hunt in Illinois, it is by far the easiest to get private land permission. If you happen to be driving down a field and you see a couple thousand snow geese hitting a field, hey, call that farmer and say, especially if it's like a winter wheat field where he needs that crop, he doesn't want it plucked up, you will get access as easy as possible. So don't sleep on those. And one thing, I've done a few successful hunts through outfitters, and I've done some successful kind of DIY hunts. The DIY hunts that we did, we really didn't use any decoys. It was more just where do the birds want to be, and we just go sit in there and we just hide and we just wait and hope we're getting lucky and hope they're feeding in the exact same spot of the field they were, the night before. And one thing I will give, if you're brand new to watching snow geese feed, so if you watch geese feed in a field, snow geese act very differently than the Canadas, than Specks, and some of the other species, and that they will almost leapfrog across the field. So they'll hit one portion of the field and they'll be feeding here. That tail group will then leapfrog over, they'll feed here, and they'll just keep doing this leapfrogging behavior. And so if you can find out where they're feeding in the morning and potentially get into that that portion of the field that they're eventually going to leapfrog to, you can also have some success hunting that way. So you don't have to rely on decoys, but if you want the where you're getting, the flocks of 100 or 200 come in, they're all maple leaf and you're going to need decoys for that. But you can certainly give it the old college try just by being in the right spot at the right time.
It's literally a swarm.
It is
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
just for
literally,
one other methodology that you can do on your own. When I was in high school, we had an irrigation lake that would get loaded down with snow geese in the spring,
that was my best hunt was that way. Yep.
only in the spring, and it was set up really nice for jump shooting. And so we did it for several years there, but my best year I had several friends lined up along the dam, and I mean we literally had 10 to 15,000 snow geese within 20 yards, and the overflow there was so loud with water running out of it in the spring.
Oh, they
Water
couldn't
was
hear you
high.
sneak in.
Oh,
They
wow.
couldn't hear us, so we had an easy walk. We could sit there and talk. We could load our guns, and then when we jumped up, here comes 12,000 snow geese within 15 yards. So
Yeah.
we were just firing, and like holes would open up in the white. That's where our shots were, and we spent, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours chasing around cripples with a little rowboat. Trying to finish them off, but an entire truck bed full of snow geese
That's pretty
without a
similar to my
single
my best hunt with them. We had it
decoy.
was a flooded cornfield that was a duck hole, but they were roosting in there, and so we saw them all kind of tornadoing the night. We're like, okay, well, we're going to plan for this, and so luckily the area we were hunting had a nice levee around it that was probably 5 foot tall, so we could just use that entire levee as our way to sneak up. And like you, we just kind of sat there until legal light hit. Once legal light hit, we kind of popped up and made the geese get off the water. And I think we only had 3 or 4 shooters, but we killed over 50 geese just off that initial jump. And like you said, it's 10 seconds of shooting and a couple hours of picking up cripples and processing geese. But man, is it a lot of fun.
I went hunting with a guy one time who could not sit still goose hunting, and every time goose would land on any, we were between two lakes, and every time they land between one or the other, we'd get up and chase over the other one side, and then chase over the other side. You're shocked at how, and that was Canada goose, and you're shocked at how good their dang vision is of watching you trying to, even in full camo, seeing you creep along the side from one side to another side. We didn't have a single shot all day. We were,
They ain't
and
stupid. They are not
and
stupid.
he's like he's a Labrador man. Like this guy had a motor on him, so I'm sitting there just trying to keep up with this dude.
Do I
And
know who you're talking about?
you do.
Okay, yeah.
And we were going back and forth, going back and forth. I'm just like, what are we? I'm like, just sit in one of the spots. They're gonna come back, but he just
Yeah.
had to go chase them from
He
one
did
side
the
to the other
same
side.
shit with me one time. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Yep. I'm just like, dude, just chill. Just sit in this in the cattails and see if one of them flies by us. Jeez
Yep.
Louise.
If you're where they want to be,
Yeah.
you're
Or
gonna
you
be in
go
good
there and
shape.
I'll stay here and wait for him to come over
Right.
my side. Like
Wait for
that's
you to
what I
scale
should have
back to
done.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you go check it out.
Yeah.
But man, with those dates, I tell you what, Snow Goose goes all the way to April 30th. You're already
Yep.
overlapping with Turkey at that point. I mean, you got a season open. That's gonna get you to spring. And then try to figure something out to do in late May and June, and then you're back to squirrels in August. So I mean, really it doesn't
Fishing,
stop.
go fishing.
Yeah, go fishing for a couple months and then come back to it.
Yeah, that season is long, but in Illinois, we're on the migratory pathway.
Yeah.
In all honesty, it's like 2 to 3 weeks, and then it's done because that they're gone.
Yeah.
Once they're gone, there ain't gonna be no more coming through. So they extend the season so we make sure and hit the migration. But yeah, we probably get 2 to 3 weeks of decent hunting, and really the peak is probably like what, a week to 10 days, and that's
I
all.
would say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well
And I'll,
then,
I'll just to kind of close out this conversation, even if you don't want to spend the money or try to go hunt snow geese, I will tell you, seeing the snow geese migration
mhm.
is one of the cool. It's got some obviously hidden secrets about it. It's not great for the habitat, great for wildlife, but man, is it a spectacle that we used to read these stories that a lot of the old naturalists used to write about the passenger pigeon, that they would see these flocks miles and miles long, and just the entire sky was gray from the passenger pigeon. And every time I see snow geese, I try to remind myself, man, this is what it must have felt like back then. And so even if you're not interested in going out and trying to harvest snow geese or go through an outfitter, check out some of the national wildlife refuges. I think it's the Chautauqua and the Emiquon Nature Preserve. Man, I went down there it's been a couple years since the wife and I went down there, but we just went down there to bird. And I kid you not, we saw millions and millions of snow geese, and seeing, millions of snow geese all get up from the water at the same time as a bald eagle flies by and starts to scare. It is a sound like you will never forget. So even if you don't have an interest of hunting them, I definitely recommend maybe planning a trip to go look at them, drive. They're cool birds, and it's just really
Yeah.
cool to see that many birds in one spot. You just don't get that opportunity.
I've only ever seen them in fields from the highway, and whenever I look over into a field that has them, your brain can't pick one out, and
No, no.
it's white with black tip wings, so it looks like a TV on the fritz. I mean, it looks like just a fuzzy TV, and you're looking,
I
and
feel like
your
it's like a
brain,
school of fish like mentality,
yeah,
you know, like it's like we're hiding in numbers kind of
you
thing.
can't see it, and it looks like an optical illusion. It's so weird. It's very, very insane to
Another
see.
another interesting phenomena with geese like of that magnitude, if you're around them for long enough, and I'm not sure where this starts, if it's like 2 hours, 4 hours, but if you're around that constant honking for long enough, then you leave, you will
You
hear
hear for
phantom
days.
honking. Yeah, it'll be
Dude,
like 3 hours later and you'll hear that honking in your head and you'll be like, oh, there's no geese. Like that
That's so
honking is a
true.
part of
That's
me
so
now.
true.
Like I'm emanating it somehow. It
that
happens. I don't know, man. Ask Sigmund Freud about that one. I don't
No,
know.
it's and it's really bad when you go through an outfitter because a lot of times they're going to have again during the conservation order you can use electronic callers instead of just the mouth calls. And so like the outfitter that Jason and I went through, was it 2 years ago? He had
at
probably three
least,
or
yeah.
four set up, and my they just go 24/7, and you just hear that noise for days in your sleep. Oh,
Dude, I went home and we have the HOA pond outside the house across the street, and I was in the shower, and I remember sitting there sudsing up my hair, and I just can hear geese and I'm just like, what the heck? And I got out of the shower, asked my wife, I'm like, can you hear those geese through the wall? And she's just like, what are you talking about? So no, it was all in my head. Yeah.
which we were a
Anyway,
little sleep deprived that day. I think we had a
yeah,
hunt,
we
a
we did a
pheasant hunt
pheasant
like the
hunt.
night before, and we drove. Yeah,
We were in a pheasant hunt above the city, up near Wisconsin, and then drove down
to Southern
that to
Illinois.
Southern Illinois. Got in at like at midnight, and then woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go goose hunting. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was wild.
We were pretty sleep deprived, but hey,
Yeah,
it was fun. And again, we didn't even, I think we shot at one goose, which I don't think we should, it was pretty far shot.
it
So
was
I didn't
high.
personally shoot.
Yeah,
But God, we saw hundreds of thousands of
yeah, just
geese.
ribbons coming across the
Yeah.
sky. They just didn't want to land where we were. Pardon me, but yeah, they
And
didn't
that,
want to land
that,
where we
that
were
happens
at.
a lot. If you're a
Hmm.
snow goose hunter, get used to seeing that.
And you can see them. You saw them take up from the roost, and then they went somewhere to go feed, and then they caught back up and went back to where they came. So it's pretty. In the morning, you saw them go one way, and then about mid morning, they came back the other way.
Yep,
It's pretty wild.
it is.
Cool. All right. Well, there's still a lot to do. Still a lot to get out. If
There's
anything, like we
still a
said,
ton.
worst comes to worst, if you're just I'm just a deer hunter. Hey man, get out whenever you see the snow on the ground and go scout. So there's always
And hey,
something to
one
do.
thing we haven't even talked about, and I won't lie, some of my squirrel hunt this past weekend turned into a little bit of shed hunt. We're still a little early,
Oh
but there
yeah.
are deer starting to drop some antlers. So if you're a deer hunter and deer is your bread and butter, I mean, we're getting to another really important time that could be a lot of fun out shed hunting. So
Hmm.
Yeah, people in Wisconsin are finding them, so it's
I don't
a
doubt
matter
that.
of time.
Yep.
The early ones are going to start, and it's a question, when you go early, all the deer haven't dropped yet, but the ones you find are going to be fresh. They're not going to be chewed up or sun bleached or
And you're
anything
beating the
like
rest
that.
of the crowd. Who else? Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like we mentioned before, it's just good to get excuses to get outside.
It is.
Yep.
It's good.
I
But
mean, with how much we've been out this year, I've noticed like I haven't really had the like winter blues because we've just been
Hmm.
outside.
Hmm.
We've been doing so many freaking mentored hunts and stuff that I've just like I don't know. It's been good. We've been so
Being
busy.
active outdoors and getting some vitamin D goes a long way through
Yep.
winter. That's for sure.
big time. Yeah, speaking of winter blues, Jason, are you okay?
Hey, all I gotta say is
Go Bears.
If Rich Eisen sees this, he's been saying all season long to Eagles fans, relax, relax, relax. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna figure it out. Eagles fans knew this entire time that our offense and our offensive coordinator wasn't gonna cut it. We knew by week 2, week 3 that our offensive coordinator wasn't gonna cut it. It's unfortunate that the Eagles are so good that our offensive coordinators keep becoming head coaches. Kellen Moore did a fantastic job this year with the New Orleans Saints with his rookie quarterback on a 4-game win streak to end the season. We went on a slump and our offense never got together. So Eagles, it's a bummer. Our defense is amazing. Hopefully they can maintain some of the key players there. But I don't know about AJ Brown, and I don't think Kellen K Patern, whatever the heck our OC's name is. Whatever. Kyle, I
Well,
told
look,
Dan the other day. But yeah, our OC is gonna be gone. But
you can't expect your elite receiver to catch balls that are thrown right to him,
Right.
can you?
nope. I imagine AJ Brown will be traded to
Oh, I guarantee it.
the New
Yeah.
England Patriots, and then the New England Patriots will win two or three of the next five Super Bowls. So get ready for that.
You heard it here, folks. Prediction from Jason. Mark it down.
Yep, he's gonna go back up with their coach up there from Tennessee. But anyway,
Well, hey, you got the baseball season coming, and the Phillies are looking strong, and they're still in the potential running for Bo Bichette. So, yeah, there's, gray skies are going to clear up. Keep your head up there, buddy.
thanks. Yeah, bear down.
Bear down.
All right, guys, we'll see you.
Awesome. Yep. We'll catch you in the next one.